Alright, so this is gonna be part 8 to what if Deku became a kaiju. So let's get into it.
Eyes in the sky, gazing far into the night. I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you, for you, for you, for you, for you. Won't you let the light shine through.
So where I last left off, Bakugo was just captured by the League of Villains. Yeah, during the forest training camp arc. Yeah. So let's continue with the story. So, it's been about 2 days. And, the heroes have been trying to find the League of Villains. And, they went to question, the students, in canon. Deku was just walking around the hospital when he overheard the heroes talking to Momo, and she said that she put a tracker on the one of the Nomus. So, she gave them the device that was made to track down the tracker. Sorry about that noise, but anyways. So, Deku, overhearing this, he wanted to go on his own to save Bakugo. Yeah, cause sorry, but so he wanted to go save, and he wanted to go in his kaiju form because he wanted to be at his strongest, and he does he's not underestimating the League of Villains, so that's why he wants to go in his kaiju form. So he's going alone. He doesn't tell anyone, so he leaves the hospital. And Deku also overheard that the tracker is somewhere in one of the cities, one of the main cities. So Deku overheard that as well. So he used that clue. He went towards that city in search of the League of Villains hideout. And Bakugo, he's basically handcuffed in canon. And yeah, he's handcuffed in canon. But here the villains start interrogating him, and Shigaraki is trying to convince Bakugo that to join the League of Villains. Deku doesn't. Why am I saying Deku? But Bakugo is not complying. He's saying that I don't want to be a villain, I want to be a hero. Just insulting them. And eventually, I'm gonna say one of the villains. I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna say while Deku was Deku's in the city, but he's not in his kaiju form, so he's just looking around trying to look for the villain's hideout. And eventually he would spot someone from the League of Villains. I forgot. I'm gonna just say it was Mr. Compress. Yeah, I'm gonna say that it was Mr. Compress, just lurking behind one of an alleyway. And Deku recognized him, so he started to go down the alleyway. Eventually coming out, turning the corner to see just nothing but a pair of staircases that lead to somewhere. And Deku assumes that is where the hideout is, the League of Villains hideout. So he just transforms into his kaiju form and he basically just does the same thing as in, or All Might does, like in canon. He basically smashes through the wall, and the League of Villains are taken by surprise. Deku rushes towards Bakugo and basically crushes like the handcuffs, making sure that he doesn't crush Bakugo's hands. And Dobby and like the rest of the League of Villains, they would try to attack Deku, but their quirks don't do nothing. Like not even Dobby's fire can't even hurt Deku. So, Deku, he just punches like All Might, creating like a bunch of wind pressure and making the villains stumble back. He tells Bakugo to like flee the building, but Bakugo doesn't listen and just stays and fights. And everyone like close to the building would hear all the ruckus, all the noise, destruction. Then they would like call the police. Then the heroes would get notified about this whole situation. All Might and the rest of the heroes that were in the area would rush towards the situation, and they would see. Oh, sorry, but they would see. Deku or All Might would see Deku and Bakugo facing off against the League of Villains, and All Might would spot All for One. Then, basically like the whole area that they were in just got destroyed by All for One, and it's basically just like a flat area like in canon. And Deku and Bakugo, they're basically surrounded, but Shigaraki kind of like laughs and he says that, wow, the Kaiju number 8 is like so weak and pathetic. I didn't know he was this weak. Deku just tells Bakugo to jump or just propel himself into the air. Bakugo does, and Deku just punches the ground, creating like a shockwave or like a mini earthquake. And like this makes the League of Villains lose their balance. Most of them would fall, and then everyone would start to attack. Deku just stands still because their quirks, Toga's knives, Dobby's fire, doesn't do anything. So he just like takes it, like their attacks or Toga's like knives just break on impact. Deku doesn't like punch her, but he just like picks her up and just throws her towards the League of Villains. And Bakugo, he's not having a lot of trouble either, because Deku's there, and plus he has one for all. So he just starts like shooting random explosions, like not trying to hurt them. The League of Villains just trying to like maintain distance between them. And then like the news would get sight of this. There would be like helicopters. They would see Kaiju number 8 and this kid just facing off against the villains. And they would also see that All Might is facing it against All for One. And Deku would say like, Bakugo, we need to get out of here. And both of them just like, or Deku just jumps away, Bakugo propels himself with his explosions. And the villains can't do really anything about it. So, All for One would like teleport them, like in canon, and then All Might would go all out against All for One, since he couldn't, because there were still like civilians in the area. And in this, All Might would be losing really bad, like a lot more than in canon, since Bakugo has gotten a lot stronger and has learned how to use more percentage of one for all. But All Might has been getting a lot weaker, and he's just running on fumes of flames. He's just running on like little like embers of One for All, and even though like he did that in canon, it's his embers are a lot weaker, so he's getting like knocked around by All for One. He would be thrown into buildings, just he just be like, he's basically being overwhelmed by All for One, and All for One would say like, "What happened to you, All Might? What happened to all your strength? Is it because you found another successor, or did you find a successor?" And All Might would say, "That's none of your business." And All for One would say like, "Oh, it is my business. So I will know when to like kill them, just how I did to your mentor." And this would piss off All Might, and he would try to throw a punch, but All for One would just use his wind or air cannon quirk to like just push All Might away. And the news is broadcasting this, everyone in Class 1A is just watching this in the hospital, at home, just on a TV. And Deku and Bakugo see this from like atop of a rooftop, just watching All Might getting beaten. And Bakugo would say like, "We have to help him." And Deku would say, "No, you have to help him." And Bakugo would say, "Why just me? Like, we'll be stronger together." Deku would say, like, "If I just randomly joined in my Kaiju form, it would be suspicious. Because it would tell everyone that's watching that Kaiju number 8 knows who you are, and, they might suspect that, Kaiju number 8 is like somehow involved with UA, and eventually they'll start interrogating the students, and eventually me." Baku would say like, "Alright." So Deku would say like, "I'll stay here just in case things get actually serious." And Baku would say, "Alright." So Bakugo blasts off, and as All Might would reveal his weak form, like his Small Might form, and everyone will be like in shock, and All for One is about to finish the job, but then he would hear explosions coming from the distance. He would turn around to see Bakugo. Bakugo would start yelling like, "Hey, like, don't kill All Might," and then he would shoot an explosion right into All for One's face, and this would like crack his helmet, or no, it would basically break his helmet. And All Might would say, "So you must be the successor to All Might." And Bakugo would say, "Yeah, what's it to you?" And All for One would say like, "Nothing really. You just made my job. You just made yourself an easy target." And All for One would just start attacking Bakugo, but Bakugo, like, he's dodging, but he's still having a hard time, even with like using One for All in his explosions. And everyone's watching this kid on TV facing against like the strongest villain of all time. And the newscasters would say like, "Yo, that's a UA student that's facing out against All for One." And the heroes are trying to get involved, and they want to stop Bakugo before he gets himself like injured, but they can't really do anything because all like their fighting is just causing destruction around them, so they have to take care of them. and they just can't get close. And so Baku would start thinking of ways of how to use his quirk. So he would start like using like like debris. He would start he would like pick up parts of buildings like concrete and just start like launching with an explosion towards All For One as like a long distance attack. He would start doing like AP shots towards All For One as well. And Bakugo is going all out, but he's basically just stalling time for All Might to recover. And eventually Bakugo would get in close, and he would be prepared to land an attack. But then All For One would basically stab Bakugo in the chest with using like the forced quirk activation. The forced quirk activation quirk, like those things that come out of his fingers. Yeah, those things. He would get stabbed by those. Then All For One would basically just throw Bakugo towards All Might. Bakugo would land on All Might's like right side, and All Might would be like in shock and just seeing his successor being flung around by All For One. He sees the injuries in Bakugo's body, or on Bakugo, and he gets really mad, but his fumes of One For All, his embers are like dying. They're like so basically he has like one ember left of One For All, but it won't be enough to take down All For One. So Deku actually rushes in after he saw that. He basically like speed blitz All For One, like he punches him in the stomach, making All For One like fly back, or fly backward. Sorry, can't talk today, but so Deku, or basically in his Kaiju form, everyone would see that Kaiju number 8 has gone onto the scene. And, they would start cheering for Kaiju number 8, or for Deku, because like they know that he can go up against All For One, since he's battled Kaijus before and won. So All For One would say like, Kaiju number 8, you seem, or no, he would just say Kaiju number 8, this is unlike you. You only come when Kaiju attacks happen. And what's up with that? Deku would say, like, I only came here because I saw this ruckus going on. I thought it was a Kaiju, but it just turns out it was you. And All For One would say like, oh, is that supposed to insult me? Well, no matter. I'll have fun crushing you. Then he would start like levitating. He would start shooting off like projectile quirks at Deku. But Deku, he just dodges the attacks, and sometimes he just lets the attacks hit him. So like to show All For One that most of his attacks don't even have, or like 90% of his attacks don't have any effect on him. Yes, it would probably leave like one like tiny crack on his like armor, or just tiny little crack, but that's about it. And Deku says like, come on, like I don't want to hurt you. And All For One would say like, you don't have to, just die for me then. Then he would start shooting more attacks. He would use his force activation quirk, but it wouldn't penetrate Deku. It would just basically break on impact. But then like Deku would grab those, I guess you can say, tendrils I guess you can say that, but he would grab them and basically just yank All For One towards him. And, then Deku would punch All For One with a like a kinetic energy charged punch into the face. And, this causes a giant shockwave that pushes like the civilians back from where they're watching. And, this hurts All For One badly, but, since he has a bunch of quirks, he probably has like a lot of regeneration like abilities, so he gets back up. And Deku would say, you're a lot stronger than I thought. And All For One would say, like, just don't doubt me ever again. And, he would start charging, or he would start, like, buffing up his arm, like how he did with Cannon with all the quirks. He would start buffing his arm up. And, Deku was just waiting. All For One would charge towards Deku. Deku would collide, like, throw a punch, and his punch would collide with All For One's punch. And Deku's, like, he's holding back just to, like, drag out the fight. Because he just wants to have a good fight with someone. So, he's just playing along with All For One. He's just toying with him. So he just he's just acting that All For One is basically winning against him, when really he's not. And, as All For One is thinking that, Deku just says, like, alright, playtime's over. And basically just, like, his punch just basically breaks All For One's arm. It would just basically explode All For One's arm off. All For One would, like, kind of, like, scream. And he'd say, like, why did you do that? And Deku would say, I had to. Her playtime was over. I was bored. I don't like to drag on fights, but I felt like I had to with this one. And All For One would say, like, so you were holding back? And Deku would say, I always am. Then Deku would charge up and attack. His veins would. Sorry about that random cut. I don't know what happened, but anyway, so after Deku said, like, I'm always holding back, Deku would just grab All For One's arm and basically just rip it off of All For One's body. And, his arms would start, like, kind of regenerating, but it's really slow. And actually, no, All For One probably has a lot of regeneration quirks, so it's not slow. It's basically like the Nomu's regeneration. So yeah. So his arms would grow back, and Deku or All For One would start, like, buffing up his arms again and just start hitting Deku. However, Deku is letting this happen because he wants to absorb all the kinetic energy for, like, one big attack. And, he's just letting All For One hit him. All For One would say, like, what's wrong, Kaiju number 8? And Deku would say, nothing. I'm just letting you hit me. And he would say, why are you doing that? And Deku would say, so I can do this. And, basically, Deku catches All For One's arms and just throws All For One back. Then he would appear right in front of him and basically does, like, a United States of Smash, but this one is a lot, I'm gonna say it's like 5 times stronger. I'm gonna say 10 times stronger than the one in canon. So, Deku was holding back, but because he didn't want to actually kill him, All For One, even though he kind of wanted to, he didn't. So, because, like, a hero wouldn't, like, kill, even though, yeah, but whatever. So, um, All for One is basically like crippled. Yeah, he's basically crippled. Deku hit him in like the chest, or yeah, like on the in his lower chest, and basically his rib cage would have shattered. Yeah, basically his bones are completely broken. All for One's bones, so they would start to heal, but then eventually the rest of the heroes would come. You know, All Might and Bakugo to get medical attention, and the heroes would start to like kind of get into like a fighting stance when they see Deku in his kaiju form. Deku would say like, I'm not here to fight. I just came here to save the number one hero and that kid. And then he would jump off, and the heroes would like not really question it, but they are like curious. Yeah, so like they would question why Kaiju number 8 would interfere with a fight. And yeah. So it's been a few days after the fight. All Might All Might died. No, I'm not gonna kill him off. I'm not gonna. I mean, he basically has no more use later on in the series. No, I'm just keep him around. So yeah. So All Might doesn't die. Neither does Bakugo. But after like, I'm gonna say like a few days, Bakugo returns to school. He's kind of bandaged up because of the whole incident. And no, I must say that no, he's gonna be in the hospital for a week, and he's gonna be suspended for another week because he did something stupid. Well, in the eyes of Aizawa, and basically of all of UA, he did something stupid and reckless. So yeah, Deku would visit Bakugo in the hospital frequently, just to tell him what he's been missing. And like right after Bakugo is done with suspension, they will be going to their provisional license, or to get their provisional license. And Bakugo would say like, great, I didn't have any time to train. And Deku would say like, I mean, you're pretty strong already, and plus with One For All, you're probably leagues ahead of everyone else that's gonna be there. And Bakugo would say, yeah, I guess so. So Deku leaves. Deku visits All Might as well. All Might asks like, how's Bakugo doing? Deku would say like, he's fine, he's doing well. Though he is kind of mad that he didn't have any time to train for the UA or for the provisional license exams. And All Might would say, yeah, I thought so. But anyways, All Might, do you still have One For All in you? And All Might would say, no, the embers of One For All had completely faded. I am now quirkless, and now it's up to Bakugo to master One For All, and for you to get stronger as a hero and as Kaiju number 8. And Deku would say like, yeah, but don't say it out loud. There might be someone like eavesdropping. And All Might would say, yeah, you're right, sorry. Anyways, so I'm probably gonna retire, since everyone has seen me in this weak, my not in my small form. So, and plus I'm quirkless, so I won't be able to do any more hero work. And Deku would say, yeah, that's probably the best. So when are you getting out of here? And All Might would say, Uh, I'll be out of here in like a day or two. I just need a few more. I just need rest. And Deku would say, alright, hopefully you get better. Then he leaves. Everyone would get. Deku would return to school along with Bakugo. Then Aizawa would say, alright, we're going to this facility to go to do your provisional license exams. And, the bus is here, so get ready. So, they would grab like their uniforms, like, or not their hero costumes. And, they would make their way to the facility. The bus stops and then they all get off. The same thing would happen, like the interaction with Shiketsu High, I think that's the name of the school, with the cardboard cart. Yeah, the cardboard cutout of Deku, the one with black hair. His name is Shindo, or no. I don't think his name is Shindo. Whatever his name is, black hair Deku. He would be like, oh, he's putting out like his whole act again, like in canon. Bakugo can see right through it, along with like people who are actually smart in UA or in Class 1A. Deku can see right through his act. But he does still shake his hand because, he just wants to be polite. Bakugo doesn't. And, he says, like, I don't want to shake anyone's hand, especially you, who's a lying, cocky person. And, black-haired Deku would kind of stop smiling and give off a grin. And he would say, so there are some smart people in this class, huh? And he would say, well, prepare yourselves. We're not going easy on you. And Bakugo would say, yeah, whatever. I never planned to go on easy on you anyways. Especially since you're second years and you haven't even passed your license exams. He would cardboard cutout Deku would kind of get mad at that. So, he would kind of like throw like a little hissy fit, but everyone in his class would just calm him down. And yeah, they would get inside, they would change, and then like the whole test just begins. And like in canon, Deku and his class would be the first target for everyone. Everyone would throw like the balls towards them. But Bakugo would just shoot up an explosion high into the air, making like a shockwave for like the balls to like stop or just go the other way. And with that explosion, some of the balls actually hit other people, getting them out. And Deku would say like, all right, we gotta kind of stick together if we want to get through this. And Bakugo would say, no, I'm fine on my own. So he would just blast off without a second thought. And Todoroki would split ways as well. And Deku is just left with the rest of the class. And yeah, so everyone else, everyone would be targeted, but they would be like doing teamwork. Deku would jump up and just like punch the air, making like a wind pressure to like push the whole balls away, and basically just get out, like tag out. He would also get people out, so he would pass. He wouldn't have the interaction with Cammy, since or technically it's Toga, but he wouldn't have that interaction. Neither would Bakugo, because Toga doesn't really know who the successor, or she doesn't really know who, like she was sent to just to like spy on the class 1A. So she was told to spy on someone, but she just didn't know who. So they just never had that interaction. Eventually, Gang Orca and his men would show up as like the fake villains. Bakugo would see this. He's like Bakugo was waited for this. He's only gotten out 2 people, and he's just been waiting for Gang Orca just to like show off his strength. And Deku wanted to show off his strength too, so he was waiting as well. Bakugo and Deku would charge in first, and Gang Orca would say like how pitiful, and he would use like his sound based attack, and it would hurt Bakugo and Deku, but they would power through it. Deku would throw a punch, Bakugo would throw an explosion. This would actually hurt Gang Orca, surprisingly. And Gang Orca is thinking like, wow, these 2 are actually pretty strong. Maybe I have to dish out more power. He's playing like the role of a villain. Todoroki and like the other dude with like the wind quirk would show up. They would start like messing each other up and getting into each other's way, like in canon. But Deku and Bakugo are working together. Deku would go in for a kick, but Gang Orca would block it and just basically grab Deku by the leg and just throw him towards Bakugo. Bakugo would catch Deku in midair, and he would do the X catapult, where he like just spins in the air and just throws Deku really far and fast. And since he has one throw, it's a lot faster and a lot stronger. So Deku would get launched really fast, and Gang Orca didn't even have time to react, and Deku would land the kick towards his chest, making Gang Orca fall. And Gang Orca wasn't expecting this, and he's about to attack Deku, but he would jump off of him. Then Gang Orca would see Bakugo coming in with a howitzer impact. But instead of a howitzer impact, I'm just gonna call it a nuclear impact, since it's a lot stronger. It's just the same as nuke, so yeah. Nuclear impact. Yeah, so I would use that move. And basically it would hit Gang Orca. And since Gang Orca is an orca, he does need to be wet. He has to be like wet, and has a weakness to fire because he can dry up really easily. But Bakugo, his explosions aren't technically fire based, but there is some kind of fire, so that would affect Gang Orca pretty badly. And his weights that he had would like break from that, and eventually like like a siren will like play, indicating, or no, never mind. So Deku would see that he would have like 1 minute left, so he would quickly find someone and just to pass. And Bakugo would also do the same thing. He would find someone, pass. And the only one who didn't pass was Todoroki. So the siren would go off, indicating that the test was over. Deku and Bakugo are relieved that they made it. They passed just in time. And like I said, Todoroki was the only one who didn't, because he kept on arguing with the wind quirk dude. And yeah, so I'm gonna end it off here. I hope you guys liked this part, and if you did, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.